Joining us now to discuss BTC price and more is Julius de Kempenaer. He's a senior technical analyst at stockcharts.com. Julius, we're seeing a present bounce of green in Bitcoin right now. What do we owe that to? Is it because of the good inflation or the soft and in line with expectations inflation print we're seeing?
Extremely good question, Christine. In the end of the day, it's all about supply and demand. So it looks like the crypto investors are responding positively to these events that you just mentioned. And I mean, the last time I was in your show, it was, I don't know, at the end of last year, it was very boring because nothing happened and things didn't look too well. But if you look at the Bitcoin charts right now, that is kind of turning around. I do think that 19,000 area that we're touching on right now is pretty crucial. You got the daily chart up right there, and you can see that it's the bottom of the range that we saw. It's basically pretty much the second half of the year, 2022, all those lows in that area. We made a couple of lows, 18 and a half, 19, 80 something. And then we dropped and we sank to 15,500. And now we're, after a couple of months of trading, we're now testing that old support zone as resistance. And so far, it's doing quite well. We took the first hurdle, which was that in-between high, which was, I need to look that up, that was around 18,300. And actually, during the day today, you saw that, if you look at an intraday chart of Bitcoin, you see that around that 18,300 level, there was some resistance building up. We have a couple of hours that we pushed against it, and now literally in the last hour, I think, or so, we just pushed beyond that level and we're now testing that 19K. And that's going to be pretty crucial for the longer term developments.
So do you see this bounce sustained? Let's take a look at the weekly chart. Where do you see support and resistance?
Yeah, that weekly chart, that is the big thing, of course. I mean, the old all-time highs for Bitcoin are still way out of sight. I mean, that is pretty clear. What we're seeing now is, if you look at that longer-term trend, we're bouncing. I mean, that long-term rhythm of lower highs and lower lows is still there. It's possible that we are now taking out the previous high, so we could start the beginning of something new, but it is very, very early, and it's certainly not confirmed yet. So again, I'm watching that 19K area, and in Bitcoin dollar, it's very hard to pinpoint it to 18 and a half or 19 or 19 and a half. I mean, $500 or $1,000 is actually nothing. So we got to wait a couple of days, I believe, before we can actually confirm that it has been a turnaround. I'm not in that stage yet. I'd like to see a little bit more, but things are starting to improve. That is for sure. And if we can take out that 19K level, then we are definitely en route for 21. That's the previous high. And let's just leave it at that. 21 and then 25 is the high that we saw back in August. There's quite some resistance overhead, but short term, yep, I think that Bitcoin is on the way up.
All right. When we look at other cryptocurrencies, ETH versus BTC, what are you seeing there? Any trends? Yeah,
so I mean, what we see now is that Bitcoin is actually leading. So we had a brief period where altcoins were taking over, but right now Bitcoin is definitely the leader, and that is a change from a period which was dominated basically by Ethereum. Ethereum was beating Bitcoin left and right, and after the beginning of what is that? That is like a couple of September. You see that the Ether Bitcoin rate started to stabilize, and that is in a range right now. If this line goes up, Ether is doing better than Bitcoin. If it goes down, Bitcoin is doing better. And right now we're in that doldrums. We're in that sideways move, and if you look at a bigger picture, if you take more altcoins into consideration, I think that we can safely say that Bitcoin is leading. So, I mean, I have a group of coins that I watch. It's Ethereum, it's ADA, Matic, DOT, BNB, XRP, Doge, the popular stuff. I mean, you could bring up a chart with thousands, but I think there is that's the RRG that shows the rotation of those coins versus Bitcoin. So the middle of this chart represents Bitcoin, and the other, the tails as we call them, they show the relative rotation for these coins versus Bitcoin. If they move in a southwestern direction, which they are doing right now, that means that Bitcoin is leading. They are now already in a relative downtrend versus Bitcoin, or on the way to a relative downtrend versus Bitcoin. If they would end up in the top right-hand corner in the leading quadrant, then these coins would be doing better than Bitcoin, and that's clearly not the case right now. So when all these tails are pointing to the lower left, that means that Bitcoin is the leading coin at the moment.
Interesting. So if we have your outlook, your forecast for 2023, do we end the year with Bitcoin in positive or negative territory?
Oh, wow. And we have just started. It's 12 months. I mean,
I know, but we started 2022, but everyone's saying it's going to go up. And,
oh my God.
2022 did another story.
Head. You're really doing it. Eh? You really want me to tell something. Okay, 12 months from now, we're going to be up, but mildly. I don't think we're going to be. Let me put it like this: I don't think we're going to go above 30,000, 30K, 30. I don't think we'll make that.